Today's AskReddit post. What's the line between a brutally honest friend and a toxic friend? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. A toxic friend takes obvious pleasure in shocking you with information they know will hurt. An honest friend directly tells you what you need to know, even if it's not what you wish to hear. Honest friend. That's awesome that you got to the final round of interviews, but you might want to apply to other jobs just in case you don't get it. The job market is really competitive right now. Toxic friend. There's no way you're getting this job. There are probably tons of people way more qualified than you. Honesty is realistic. Toxicity is pessimistic. That's a great way to put it, thanks. Sometimes, too much honesty can be really toxic. So it's a bit of a tightrope. Are they brutally honest with you in public? Pointing out your flaws in front of others as if they're trying to embarrass you? Toxic. Are they pontificating about your flaws almost as if they were saying being you? Wrong. Be more like me. Disregarding the intricacies and differences of both of your personalities? Toxic. Do they say mean shit about their friends with you? They say mean shit about you behind your back. Is their honestly meant to build you up or tear you down? Are they someone who is willing to also tell you good things about yourself, which is also honesty? Or do they only focus on the negative? Do they take responsibility if they cross the line? Or do they not care and insist that you are being too insensitive? Because if it's any of the latter, then they are a toxic person. In the end, if you really have to ask, then you probably know the answer already. Are they someone who is willing to also tell you good things about yourself, which is also honesty? Or do they only focus on the negative? This is the core thing right here. If someone is only honest about perceived faults, then self-proclaimed honesty is just a fig leaf for being judgmental. Happy cake day. A non-toxic friend will respond to critical feedback that their brutal honesty is not welcome, and they will tone it down accordingly. A toxic friend will completely ignore such feedback, or worse, may even step up their behavior out of spite. The honest friend will see the feedback as reciprocated honesty. The toxic friend will see the feedback as an attack. Precisely. Honesty without tact is cruelty. Seriously. Being tactful lets the person know you have taken the time to see their position, within reason, and are acting in good faith. I wouldn't really be friends with someone who conducted themselves otherwise. I like the similar honesty without empathy as abuse. Likewise, honesty without compassion is brutality. Brutally honest is fair and has good intentions and should be able to tell when you don't need his opinion. Toxic ist just putting you down. Does not try to help you and is inconsiderate of your feelings. Yet to me it's about how productive said honesty is. If it has your best interest at heart and comes from a place of care for you, that's what is important. I agree that having best interest in mind should be a priority. For example, if your friend gets herpes boils on his genitals, if you're a good friend you won't judge him. You will even help him pop the boils and use the oil that comes out to cook French fries for the two of you to eat together. Yes, you're right. How do you think me and my friends have stayed such good friends? You guys are all missing the bigger picture. The brutally honest friend won't always be being brutally honest. You'll have great times, laughs, and the occasional moment of brutal honesty. The toxic friends will always be toxic. Constant complaints, or comparisons, twisting words or steering the conversation towards negativity, or being the center of attention. If you can't remember the last time you just had fun together, they're a toxic friend. A good measure of that is how you feel afterward. I mean, you might not feel joyous after you've gotten tough advice from a friend who loves you, but usually you'll know that they meant well and can see what they're trying to tell you. If you routinely feel long-term worse after getting advice, the giver may just be toxic. Something I read once which I rather liked is people who pride themselves on being brutally honest are often more concerned with being brutal than being honest. When someone is always honest, and only accidentally brutal when that honesty happens to be rather harsh is fine. But someone who always happens to find a way for their honesty to be uttered in the harshest, most brutal way possible is rather toxic. Well said. One can't be with you when you're happy. What the toxic friend? What do you mean? Not OP. But I do believe that's what they're referring to. A toxic friend has no reason to be around you when you're happy. An honest friend is still first and foremost your friend. They'll still celebrate your victories with you. I had a friend who was also a co-worker. We were close and hung out a lot after work. I wanted to move on from that job. And when I took a better paying job, albeit a seasonal job, and put in my notice, I told my close friends. This particular friend asked me if I was sure this is what I wanted to do, and if I had even the smallest complaint about my new job. He would be like, wow, I bet you regret leaving X job now. I'm at a totally different job now, and every time I bring work up, he has something nasty to say about it. I've been slowly distancing myself, and I'm actually kind of glad that he's moving away because, surprise surprise, he found a new job an hour away. I'm convinced he wanted me to stick to my shitty miserable job because he was stuck in his shitty miserable job and wanted me to be miserable with him. God forbid if I had tried to dig myself out of the mentally rough place that job put me in. I think brutal honesty is more often an excuse on the part of the friend to justify a lack of tact. Don't blame me, I'm just being brutally honest. A good friend, or even just a reasonable human being, should generally be able to be honest and direct without being brutal. They might not, and often shouldn't, beat around the bush, but should realize that there's room for tact and grace, especially, when they're saying something their friend may not like. So if someone would rather be brutally honest than tactfully honest and direct, they probably are already toxic. Exceptions apply, of course, but the only one I can think of is when tactful honesty has been tried and failed. I had a friend that prided himself on being brutally honest, had no tact whatsoever and didn't care because he was being honest. Our friendship ended. Brutally honest is meant for your own betterment. Criticism, while harsh, is meant to get you in line and make the appropriate changes because they care about you. And being nice hasn't worked. Toxicity is flat out not caring about you. Any criticism isn't meant to better yourself. It's meant to better themselves in either wanting the changes that advance their own agenda or they revel in simply making others feel bad about themselves. Disagree on your definition of toxicity. I think that's way too narrow of a definition. I believe a part of toxicity is holding someone else in such little regard that you're willing to use them to benefit yourself and only yourself. I'd say that's pretty accurate. That covers people like bullies and internet trolls in one go, lol. A brutally honest friend will tell you the bad, but they'll also tell you the good. A toxic friend will only point out the bad, usually to make them feel better. Acceptable brutal honesty. Beth is cheating on you. Dumbus is proof. Unacceptable brutal honestly. Goddamn, you have an ugly nose. You fell out the ugly tree face first, didn't you? Also, you know, everyone thinks you're ugly. That's why Beth is cheating on you. It's not her fault. You're just ugly. Why are you upset? You're being a baby. I didn't say anything mean. I was joking. You should apologize for not realizing it's a joke. Oh. You don't want to be friends with me? Well, I'll lie to your mutual friends and paint myself as the victim. Toxic friends never offer positivity. Everything said is negative. And never, or rarely, phrased in a way that is constructive. Your successes are looked upon negatively and often with jealousy. Your brutally honest friend gives you a criticism and attempts to help you solve the problem they've pointed out. If it's a problem that may cause you embarrassment or public shame, they tell it to you in private, and again constructively and offer solutions. Your brutally honest friend is also as open and honest with their praise and should be cheering you on with your successes. Brutal honesty is dealt to you for your benefit. Toxicity is dealt to you for their benefit. Intent is the difference maker. Brutal honesty to make you feel bad equals toxic. Brutal honesty to stop you ducking up and help you improve equals friend. So I feel kinda stuffy and lame using a paraphrased principle from, allegedly, from Socrates. But this is where I draw the line. 1. Is it truthful? 2. Is it useful? 3. Is it kind? Either way, I generally steer clear of brutally honest people, because that phrase usually means I won't take responsibility for my own antagonism. Came here to say exactly this. The version I heard ages ago was, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If you can't get 2 out of 3, you shouldn't say it. A good brutally honest friend won't shy away from true plus necessary because they feel awkward or they're afraid to risk making you mad. A toxic brutally honest friend doesn't mind playing fast and loose with necessary and doesn't even care about kind. Most people who self-identify as brutally honest use it as an excuse to be an asshole. I would say when anyone uses phrases like "I'm just brutally honest," I tell it like it is. I don't sugarcoat things. It's a red flag. I call myself blunt, but I also carefully evaluate what the situation is and what I need to say. I've noticed that I don't really have a lot of empathy, so I don't feel what others feel. But I do have a lot of compassion, so I want to help fix the problem. If I have advice to give, then I might give it. I also both an optimist and realist, so that helps. Intent motivation. Praise in public. Constructively criticize in private. Face to face. A brutally honest friend will wait till their opinion is asked for. Do you think I'm a meth addict? Oh, thank God. I thought you'd never ask. Yes, your daily meth habit does point to harmful addiction. I never told you because I thought it would be toxic of me and offensive. I think that is a situation where I would risk being called toxic for calling them out. Me too. They offer advice for improvement. Honest friend. I have to be honest with you. That sweater doesn't look great on you. Toxic friend. That sweater looks ugly on you. A non-toxic friend focuses on the honesty. A toxic friend focuses on the brutality. It's context. I'm a brutally honest friend, but only when asked to give my potentially harsh opinion. Other than that, if someone is venting and I can see the thing they are missing, I probably won't share it because they aren't ready to hear it. People throwing out judgments with no filter are toxic because they aren't considering how their words affect someone else. I am the brutally honest friend, but I only offer advice when they ask my opinion on the matter is important for them to know, or if it's something that can be fixed in 5 minutes. Otherwise I shut my mouth. I always want nothing but the best for my friends. Most times I have had to tell them the brutal truth has been usually men related. Like one of my best friends keeps going back to the same pieces of shit who break her heart every other year that I want to kick in the balls and hate with a passion because they come back, duck things up and leave. My other best friend, only times I need to be with her is when she asks for my opinion on something. Right now it's been a lot of wedding dress shopping related things. The difference I think is definitely intention and how you go about things. I had a toxic friend who voiced her opinion for everything and put me down constantly to raise herself. If I was doing something that wasn't her way, she would make sure I knew and was spiteful about it. It's no wonder the friendship ended with her throwing tea on another friend's face and me having enough of her bull. Intentions and context. A brutally honest friend wants you to benefit long term. A toxic friend wants themselves to be heard for their benefit. A brutally honest friend will always be there for you and will always help you to be your best self. A toxic friend just makes fun of you going through hard times and won't help you get back up. 2 words. Their intent. Brutally honest friends don't expect a thank you for brutal honesty. 1. Whether they are saying it to help you or boost their own ego. 2. Whether you ask them for their opinion or not. Intention. A honest friend's feedback is constructive. The toxic friend's comments are destructive and normally made with the view of elevating themselves. Do they build you up or tear you down? Honestly, the easiest way to answer this question is to tell them. If they have your best interests at heart, their response will be something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was trying to help, but I can see that I was hurting you instead. I'll do a better job of checking myself. Otherwise it'll be some nonsense like, I just tells it like I sees it. Sorry you can't handle the truth. One of those responses is sensitive to your needs. The other is just being a dick. Brutally honest friends stop the brutal honesty once they've said their piece. I only know a few people that I would truly consider toxic, and I'm not sure I've heard a positive word come out of their mouth. This is the biggest one. Emo. It doesn't matter how tactful or well intentioned you are if all you ever say are negative things. A toxic friend tells you that you are doing it wrong but doesn't tell you what you do wrong. A brutally honest friend tells you what you do wrong. If they're brutally honest, they'll be honest about positive things too, and they'll also be honest about themselves and own up to their own mistakes and problems. A brutally honest friend wants to be protective to an extent and has your best interest in mind. A toxic friend doesn't care about what you think and often will do things to either belittle you and make them feel better, or do things and if you don't agree then they will make you feel bad for it or second guess yourself. Motivation and tact. A brutally honest friend is motivated by wanting better for you and expresses it in a way that shows genuine care and consideration. A toxic friend is motivated by seeing you in anguish, or simply enjoys the drama of causing unrest or chaos in others' lives, and their delivery is as inflammatory and inconsiderate as possible for maximum impact. The toxic friend takes sadistic pleasure in manipulating you to do things to hurt yourself, be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, etc. The brutally honest friend usually takes no pleasure in dishing out the hard truth to you, especially when what she has to say will possibly offend you, but they do it anyway because they truly care for your overall well-being. Timing and motive. A brutally honest friend will tell you truths you need to hear when nobody else does. It might not be comfortable, but if you use what they're giving you, you can elevate and improve yourself. A toxic friend will use truths to kick you while you're down and enjoy watching you squirm. It's not comfortable because it's not meant to be. They're using it to make themselves feel better. You're a piece of shit versus you're acting like a piece of shit. We're all pieces of shit at some point or another, but a friend is trying to help you be better by calling out the behavior. The other one is just labeling you. A brutally honest friend will tell you the bad choices you make that feed your insecurities to help you with them. A toxic friend will poke fun at these in front of others. Thanks for your critique. That hurts me. If the latter is consistent, then duck off. Constructive criticism versus insults. There's no such thing as someone who is brutally honest. This is just a way of dressing up being a downright rude, nasty person. Don't stand for it. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.